do you sleep? And how often do you meditate? It's a question that I get often. So I thought maybe I can answer it here. So to me, I sleep for 3 hours. When I sleep, I do sleep for 3 hours. Sometimes it goes to 4 hours, 5 hours, and those are the times that I feel very tired. And I don't mean that I feel tired and I need to sleep for so many hours, but I literally feel tired of sleeping. So when I pass 3 hours of sleep, I feel super tired. I feel drained and sluggish throughout the whole day. So I've learned how to sleep only 3 hours and then, go about my day, and then I rest here and there, which is my meditations. So sleep itself, I feel, every day, looking at that bird right now, looking at this tree, looking at everything and projecting reality is a whole job itself. Like you go out, you see things, you interpret things, you read things, you listen to things, you smell, like you're doing a lot of things, right? So naturally you get exhausted by just participating in reality. That's how I feel like. So when it comes to sleep, I feel like when we let reality happen to us, just like subconsciously, and a lot of things are just happening subconsciously, we tend to get more tired. And I feel like that's why we collapse for like 8 hours or more, because of we have dealt with reality and we have dealt with everything in it, and when you do it subconsciously, it's like reality is hitting you, it's slapping you, and it's like you do naturally get tired. You do naturally get tired. So one thing I have noticed is that I need to happen to reality consciously, meaning like when I go out and participate in society, I need to know my roles, and then when I go out there and be the roles, I need to understand that I'm not the roles, so every role, the title that you take on to work, you can't just become that, because it consumes you, and then you naturally get tired, right? And then when you leave your job, you go somewhere else and you have another character. So these are hats that we are putting on through our reality, to act in society. So if you don't know that those are just acts, you will lose yourself. You will lose yourself in all that act, because you have to rest from the act and come back to yourself, which is being in the present moment. And that's what I feel like, when I have been acting throughout the day, I need to sit down in meditation and close my eyes, like meaning like I'm shutting this device down. Nothing is just happening to it. It's shut down and we're in a resting mode. Meaning like I'm just bringing my attention back to the present moment, and reconnecting to myself, the thing that is doing all of these acts. Reconnecting to that, it gives me a sense of like, kind of like rest, I'm resting from the day. And then I take 3 hours of collapsing, meaning like, okay, nothing is working, you just collapsed, which is what sleep is. So those 3 hours are enough for me. If I go beyond that 3 hours, I feel so tired, because now I step into that dead kind of state where I feel like now I'm dead. I'm just like a dead meat, just laying there in bed when it passed 3 hours. And then when you wake up from that, now you have to wake up the body. That's why people like to drink coffee. They like to drink something that wakes them up. It makes no sense. Like, you've just rested. Why would you get up? and look for something to wake you up again. It makes no sense, right? So my the way I balance is that I collapse for 3 hours, and throughout the day I make sure that I rest from reality, and I close my eyes and I just bring myself to the present moment. You don't have to sit in a lotus position to do that. You don't have to, you can be walking and just remembering that, hey, let's shut off a little bit. Let's not be this. Let's not become the victim of reality. Just like be conscious about that. You are acting. You are part of this reality, but you don't have to become the victim of it, right? So before, in the beginning, I used to sit down many times throughout the day just to rest and disconnect from everything. So my meditation is like I disconnect from all the acting, everything that I've been doing all day. I need to just disconnect from it. So that way I get into that resting mode where I'm like recharging. In the beginning, I used to feel the need to sit and meditate. But then eventually it just became like something that it's just a habit, it's a muscle that you're training, right? So always remembering to, sit down and disconnect from reality and connect with myself. Just since I was just bringing myself back to the moment, it became an automatic thing that while I'm walking around throughout my day, I can shut off. Just get in that resting mode, and I can walk around, I can do the things that I'm doing, but then at the same time be in that resting mode. I don't know how to explain that. But I've reached a point where my habit of meditating just became like a part of my everyday, It's not like something you need to remember. It just happens. My body knows like, okay, it's time to shut off. It's time to stop acting. It's time to recharge. It's time to collapse. So it kind of knows what to do because I've trained that muscle. But I think it is necessary to really know the differences between resting and sleeping. It's so important. Once you know the differences, you will know when to sleep and you will know when to rest. Resting is something we need to do throughout the whole day. Like, I follow the birds. And when the birds, they're flying around right now and they have energy. And then around like 11, almost noon, they start to shut down and they start to, just relax and be in their little branches here and there. And then there's a time they get up again and do different rituals and different things. So we are supposed to rest throughout the day, depending on how much acting we do and how much activities we are doing, right? And it depends on everybody's reality, how often you need to recharge, really, and what you need to recharge from, But naturally, I think that's what we're supposed to do, and not follow a concept of day and night and collapse for 8 hours and then you're running for 8 hours. The balance is off. If you think about it, it's just off. It's just like you become a machine that's constantly just on for like 8 hours, and then collapsing for 8 hours, and you don't even know where you go when you collapse. You don't even know why you're collapsing, right? So we are wrapped around in this concept, but really I think that we can learn how to rest and know the differences between those two, and that's what I feel good that way. I feel natural that way. I do not see any logic in collapsing for 8 hours. I really don't. So anyway, much love to you.